And they came and they issued me a bunch of papers. I still have the papers on the wall. They came with the police. At one point, they got the liquor board involved and they came and took my beer, just harassed me all the time, right? Giving me more pieces of paper that said that I had to appear before the crown or whatever. And they didn't give up. And eventually, this kind of culminated in they did something stupid again. Like it was, I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but it was completely bonkers. And it wasn't something that actually affected me or my business. But I remember thinking one day, this has to stop. I'm going to throw the biggest protest that this province has ever seen. So I put the word out on social media. I rallied the troops. There were thousands of people ready to rock and roll. And um, so much so that Alberta Health Services actually went to a judge and they got an ex parte injunction against me. Now, that means that they didn't have me or my lawyer present. So, believe it or not, in Canada, a pseudo governmental organization can go to a judge and get a judgment against you in a court of law without you being represented by anybody. That's a huge problem. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But anyway, they got this injunction. But here's the scary part, that injunction didn't just say Chris Scott and the Whistle Stop Cafe. It said Chris Scott, Whistle Stop Cafe, the previous name of the Whistle Stop before I bought it. Glenn Carrot, who was one of the Alberta 51 guys here in Alberta, and John and Jane Doe, Alberta. Every man, woman, and child in Alberta was subject and covered under this injunction. And the injunction said, you may not attend, incite, promote, or organize any illegal gatherings. And I said, I'm a Canadian. The only mechanism I have to fight back or stand up or speak out against bad government policy is my constitutional right to protest. So I'm going to protest. Now, I tried to kind of play the game a bit and I pulled the advertising down. I didn't tell people not to come. And it ended up that it was a cold day that in the summer, like one of the worst days of the summer. I think it was only 6 degrees, overcast, gloomy, muddy. I think there was some sleet involved, but still close to 3,000 people showed up at the Whistle Stop Cafe. And if you look on the internet, you can find pictures and videos of that day. It's insane. This town is 502 people. About 520 now. But the town grew that day by a factor of 6. There was no place to park a car. The entire town was just completely packed with people protesting these restrictions. And that protest resulted in my arrest. And I was charged with contempt of court because I protested in Canada. And I don't know if you want to take a little bite out of that or whatever, but that's maybe a good place to have a comment or two.
Crit, you've got to be kidding me. The John and Jane Doe, Alberta. That's absolutely insane. There was a big trend. There was a big trend down here in U.S. law, where yes, indeed, you wouldn't just sue the party involved, but you'd sue again. Let's say, especially with politicians, you never were able to quote personally sue a politician, but that became the trend down here, where if people wanted to go, after say a city council or whatever, and then they would put the names personally, privately of all the city council members. I cannot believe what I'm hearing as far as that suit